Salutations, esteemed learners. Happy start to the 2020-2021 school year, even if the beginning is somewhat unorthodox and the middle of the year will likely prove a bit quirky and the end may be just a skosh creative as well. It's going to be a year. The pundits and prognosticators have been scouring the dictionaries and thesauruses in Google trying to figure out all the adjectives to describe this coming year. Generally, though, they always revert to one word: unprecedented. Have you grown weary of that word? I have. So yes, the times are unprecedented, at least in our memories, though not really historically. So let's call the times half-precedented. But even in these half-precedented times, we actually have some strong, say, precedents on which to draw. I'm going to bring back two of your favorite precedents. The first, a scrumptious dish of own your own learning. That clause first came into vogue at Carey Academy about a decade ago. And while everyone has a slightly different definition of the sentence, we generally accept it to mean that you, students, need to be actively engaged in the how, what, when, and why of your learning. And courtesy of COVID, we are also adding the where. Yes, I'm going to ask that you lean on the precedent of owning your own learning this year for two reasons. First, it's just good education. You want to learn something? Engage with it. Second, our national and international headlines practically demand that precedent. What does that statute mean? How did they arrive at those statistics? Who's telling this story? When was the scientific process employed in this? Whose story is being told? So there's a precedent that not only will you see at CA, but you'll see in life all around you. Own your learning. We can embrace that idea anywhere, and it's a good one to hold on to. For the second precedent, I humbly offer you another favorite dish. A lovely bowl, a melange of three flavors that blend beautifully. Consider respect, integrity, and compassion. Oh, yum. Those three nouns in a coordinated conjunction are at the center of how we treat each other, and they should not be unprecedented, since they are shorthand for the need to own how we interact. And we need to consciously think about how we will treat each other, this year especially. Consider, our nation is just starting to tackle some of the racial injustices that have been perpetrated even recently. Those discussions will continue as they need to, both nationally and locally, and at Carey Academy. We need to focus on how we can be there for each other. Consider, we have a national election taking place in November. We can't control how politicians and bloviators and talking heads yammer at each other, but we can control our own actions and speech at Carey Academy. Respect, integrity, and compassion. Consider, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and it's likely that some of you know people who have been exposed to and are struggling with the coronavirus. As we work through this illness, we need to be guided by precedent, respect, integrity, and compassion. In these times without apparent blueprints, when we will be experimenting with so much, when the largest earthquake in recent North Carolina history merits a general shrug because of all the other moments of intensity and unknown this year, we rely on the known, the bedrock of the precedented. For Carey Academy, that means that whether we are meeting virtually or in person, whether we are in red, tangerine, orange, or yellow phases, whether you're in the blue cohort or the gold cohort, whether you are a neophyte ninth grader just starting to understand high school, or an experienced senior weighing your senior year, you will succeed by following precedent. Own your learning. Own your obligation to others. Accept those two favorites, and you will have a scrumptious adventure this year. Thank you, and welcome to 2021. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Sammy Hoffman, our Student Council President.
Hello, and welcome to the start of your 2020-2021 school year. My name is Samantha Hoffman, and I am beyond excited to be this year's Student Council President. Before I get too far, I want to mention my amazing team that is not up here today. That is, the other executive officers of Student Council. Sophia Alvey as Vice President, Brandon Yee as Secretary-Treasurer, and Angelina Chen as our Communications Officer. It also includes our wonderful teacher representatives, Mr. Rozelle and Ms. Merritt Jones, and finally, your elected grade representatives. It has been a pleasure working with such an enthusiastic team who are dedicated to make a positive difference at CA. I also want to welcome the new students of our school, including our first-year students, the class of 2024. We all know that this is not a typical start to the high school. I think that you will find CA to be a welcoming environment, even in a virtual format. Every year in Student Council, we work diligently to accomplish two goals. The first is to make the year the most memorable, and the second is to help students feel heard, empowered, and valued. The first goal has already been handed to us courtesy of Ms. Rona. It is clear that this year will be the most memorable in our high school experience. It will be the year we are asked about for the rest of our lives, attending high school amid a pandemic and civil reform during a presidential election year. So let's try to make this year as positively impactful as possible. Even with 6 feet apart social distancing constraints, Cary Academy can still find a way to be a tight-knit community. Flex days offer a wonderful opportunity for growing closer to your class. Your grade level leaders and administration are working hard to create grade-wide activities divided by advisories, such as car painting or lawn games. In addition, Student Council plans to step in with an ice cream social or two. Although some events may be postponed, we hopefully are able to host new events that follow social distancing standards. This includes on-campus events, such as a drive-in movie night, and a new implementation of off-campus events, such as strawberry picking, a day at Jordan Lake, or a Cary scavenger hunt. Whether it be another virtual variety show during Code Red, or Blue vs. Gold Spirit Week competition during Code Orange, there will always be ways that we can show spirit and have fun together. Student Council also recognizes that students will be faced with new challenges this year, which makes it even more important for student voices to be heard. Last year, the implementation of the forum allowed students to have brave conversations about topics like environmental impacts and academic toxicity. This year, we plan to continue the forum dialogue by partnering with NHS and their theme of education to talk about the great changes in the educational system in not just our own school, but the entire country. In an additional effort to amplify student voices, STUCO will engage in monthly meetings with upper school administration. The other Student Council officers and I began this process over the summer with administration answering your frequently asked questions and concerns. We hope to continue these meetings to better connect the voices of the student body to the administration. Finally, STUCO is working hard this year to better our communications with the other leading organizations of the school, NHS, Coexist, X Factor, and Delta. We hope to collectively make you feel comfortable, empowered, and happy while our school and world around us change. Thank you for listening, and I am looking forward to seeing all of you hopefully soon. Until then, look forward to our first virtual town hall.
Next, we're going to hear from Xavier D'Souza, our senior class president.
My fellow Chargers, new or seasoned, diffident or dauntless, despairing or driven, a unique situation is upon us. Truly, our predicament is one of historic magnitude. Indeed, our immediate future may appear intimidating, bleak, mayhaps even hopeless, but I declare with confidence that this academic year holds vast potential for us all. I'd like to now make some remarks for each individual grade. Freshmen, you are, as we say, the new kids on the block. Beginning high school can be a frightening endeavor, especially if you're new to CA. However, I'd like to reassure you that the faculty and students here are both welcoming and helpful. Regardless of your current circumstances, I strongly advise you to foster solid, healthy relationships that you'll be able to grow from and rely upon. I won't feign that your journey at CA will be totally untroubled, but I can guarantee that the presence of peers, friends, teachers, coaches, and advisors will elevate your experience. Hence, it would be invaluable to generate a strong foundation of individuals who you can reach out to if and when you encounter any significant trouble. Sophomores, this is your second year in the upper school. At this point, you should be relatively accustomed, virtual or in person, to the everyday humdrum of high school. As seasoned artisans of the academic craft who aren't yet undertaking a hefty load of advanced coursework, you should envision yourself in the year of opportunity. Consider starting or joining a new club, sport, or organization, or perchance adding an interesting elective or independent study if you have adequate space. 10th grade is a stellar chance to pursue self-discovery as both a student and a person. Be creative and make sure to have fun. Juniors, like peasants laboring in the rice fields of feudal Japan, sweating and aching and toiling for hours upon hours, day after day, only to repeatedly re-enter the same suffering after an inadequate nightly respite. Okay, that may have been a slight exaggeration, but junior year can indeed still be tough. There's no denying or avoiding that. However, your peers are going through this journey alongside you. You'll need them, and they'll need you. Additionally, it would be wise to have older, more experienced figures in your life who you can rely on to guide and ground you when things get rough. Junior year is only as hard as you make it upon yourself. Be mindful of your practices and habits and how they affect your academic and social performance. Diligence, self-control, and positivity can be the deviation between torment and triumph. If hopeless despair continues to taint your every thought, let me offer you this. If my class, of all classes, managed to survive amidst both virtual and IRL classes in our junior year, I know you can too. Seniors, we're in a peculiar spot. Like Edo period Japan's fabled 47 Ronin, overflowing with epic tales of adventure, suffering, and growth, unsure and yearning for a new calling, a new conquest. Thus begins the advent of our final year at CA in the mixed media, tangerine, and/or MasterCard phase, if you will. Somewhere stuck between virtual and attempting to return to normal, if there even remains such a concept. We've recently received our results from College Board's joke of a solution with their gosh darn 45-minute long, excellent, well thought out response regarding the AP crisis, and we still have yet to complete the ever-looming college process, despite the perplexing obscurity of the world's future. The senior class's exuberance and enthusiasm shall determine the extent to which we generate ourselves a memorable final chapter. Stuco will do what it can, how it can, to further bring our community together, but your energy, your passion, is the secret ingredient we require. In the words of Homer's The Odyssey, "But you, brave and adept from this day on, there's hope that you will reach your goal. The journey that stirs you is now not far off." Thus, like a shining beacon of hope piercing through the bleak darkness of midnight, let us this year sow the seeds of resounding success for all to witness. Let our example in these trying times guide all to a path of peace, progress, and prosperity. In fine, it takes little idealistic scrounging to perceive our state of chaos, confusion, pandemonium, if you will. If you consider yourself overwhelmed, unsure, or affrighted, I see you. Stuco sees you. Notwithstanding our physical distancing protocol, together is the manner in which we must seize the means of collaborative, social, and academic production. Through my last 6 years at CA, I've been awestruck by our characteristic camaraderie, our superlative teamwork, our dedication to the Cary Academy community, and the manner in which our school system develops its students through their studies. Virtually or in propria persona, I am therefore phlegmatically confident in our ability, together as a unified student body seeking to grow and learn as both students and functioning members of society, to transform this year into something special for all. Thank you.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce Emily Zhen, our National Honor Society President.
Normally, I would be giving this speech to you live from Burger Hall, but as we all know, this year is far from normal, and we are definitely not in Burger Hall. Regardless, I want to remind you of the 4 pillars that literally support the building we all miss gathering in. The school's common ground, with its welcoming theater and feelings of safety for all students. My point is that an integral part of a strong community is its pillars, both physical and literal, much like the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society: character, leadership, service, and scholarship. Our organization strives to make a lasting impact through leading by example and serving the needs of the community. This sounds like a big task because it is a big task, but it is one that our NHS leadership is looking forward to tackling. I'm excited to introduce this year's NHS leadership team. We have Vice President Catherine Chow, who brilliantly bridges the NHS's speaker series into a school-wide conversation. Secretary Kyle Murphy, whose devotion to service fuels meaningful outreach. Treasurer Phoebe Ellison, who runs the financial operations to keep our club running. And publicist Vicki Jin, who will publicize our organization's activities to keep you all in the loop.
NHS is built on upholding its values, and we are hoping to make this year of NHS like none other. The speaker series is a key part of NHS, a tradition centered around a provocative topic that is relevant and should spark conversation. I am delighted to inform you all that this year's theme is education. In times like these, we believe that this will be relevant and allow for tangible change. We want to talk about educational equity with virtual learning, social media activism, test optional policies, even the updated school lunch routine. We want to cover all things education. We understand that this is a big topic to discuss, so we are making some changes. We plan to introduce 3 speakers each semester and allow time for conversations and forums to continue the discussions. We also want to emphasize the importance of student input, which we will do by sending out polls to determine specific topics for each speaker. Additionally, we plan to virtually continue the peer tutoring program that is available to all upper schoolers. This program allows students who have recently taken a class to offer insight for those who are currently taking the class. As former President Will Ahrens beautifully put it, the best part is that the program is reciprocal. It allows for upperclassmen to meaningfully engage with underclassmen, and future NHS members will be able to give back by joining in the future. Our hope is to expand this peer tutoring into the middle school by working with Delta to offer a smooth transition for future grades. In closing, I'd like to highlight some events to look forward to. Given the unknowns of our situation, we are learning to adapt as things change. If everything goes well, we will hold the annual Penny Wars, a week-long competition against the grades filled with service and spirit, in which we battled to contribute the most donations to a significant initiative. Additionally, we are looking to bring a day of service and campus cleanup, which we believe will positively impact CA today and in the future. Be on the lookout for more information. We are looking forward to all our exciting endeavors, both old and new. We hope that you are just as excited for these events as we are. And whenever you see the pillars of Burger Hall, I hope you remember the 4 pillars of NHS as well.
Now let's hear from Clay Thornton, our Chief Student Diversity Officer.
Hello, Cary Academy faculty, staff, and students. I hope you are all doing well, and I am incredibly excited to start a new year at CA. I am honored to be serving this year as your Chief Student Diversity Officer, or CSDO for short, a role committed to fostering a diverse, equitable environment for our community by leading Cary Academy's Coexist Club. I am grateful that this year, other students will be joining me to lead Coexist. I am proud to say that for the first time, Coexist has established a committee to bolster my role as CSDO. The other members of the executive committee of Coexist are my fellow seniors Jordan Cuffey, Sarah George, and Vibhav Nandigiri. As a committee, we have been working diligently this summer to rebrand Coexist to match the current needs of the CA community. Our country finds itself in a time of crisis. Not only are we experiencing a global pandemic, but we are also living in a time of civil unrest and intense political division. As a significant part of Coexist's rebrand, we have emphasized our perspective that Coexist is not only a space for cultural diversity, but also ideological diversity. Striving for a diverse, inclusive Cary Academy community is not a question of liberal or conservative. It is not an issue of Democrats versus Republicans. It is instead a commitment to embracing our differences, fostering collaboration, and celebrating our many identities. We encourage all students to make this commitment. Join Coexist for dialogues, workshops, and affinity group meetings, not to discuss policy or politics, but rather to determine what we can change about ourselves and our community to make Cary Academy a place of which we can all be proud. In addition to emphasizing ideological diversity, Coexist is committed to collaborating with other CA clubs and organizations to provide virtual events for faculty, staff, and students. Flexibility in the new schedule allows for endless possibilities, from movie screenings to long-term projects. We hope these partnerships with clubs like Student Council, NHS, Delta Service, and X Factor will provide students the opportunity to remain fully engaged in the community, whether we are in red mode, green mode, or anywhere in between. Finally, Coexist is making the commitment to be the liaison between the student body and administration on topics related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our fantastic Coexist advisor, Ms. Johnson-Webb, who also serves as the Director for Equity and Community Engagement, We'll work with our Coexist Council to discuss and address issues brought forward by the student body. In order for us to achieve our vision for a better Cary Academy, we are encouraging all students and faculty to provide input, feedback, questions, and concerns to the Coexist Council. Our doors are always open. Coexist's rebrand, consisting of emphasizing ideological diversity, collaboration, and a connection to administration, will allow Coexist to thrive during the 2020-2021 academic school year. I'm proud to be your Chief Student Diversity Officer, and the Coexist Council and I look forward to working with all of you to build a better, more equitable Cary Academy community. Thank you.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce Mike Earhart, our head of school.
Thank you, Mr. Follett, and our student speakers. We are now bringing a most unusual convocation to a close. It's a shame that we're not able to gather in the theater together to kick off the 2021 school year. I love this time of year. It's always filled with enthusiasm, hope, and promise. Despite the pandemic, this year is no different. We are all about to embark on a wonderful journey. We've been apart for a long time, and just seeing each other, even briefly this week, is a gift. Granted, none of us wanted to be starting the school year this way, but this is our reality. The virus and its disruptions will be with us for the foreseeable future. Not weeks, not months, but likely years. The start of any school year is always one of imagination and invention. Now is the time to work together to create our best possible future. We cannot shrink away from the many challenges that confront us, but instead, we need to lean into one another for comfort and support as we forge ahead. Doing this well is going to require patience, flexibility, and grace. And as Mr. Bob Ingram told the graduates of the class of 2020 at their virtual commencement, oodles of kindness. Chargers, we are up to the challenge. Now is our unique moment to reinvent what it means to be a learning community committed to discovery, innovation, collaboration, and excellence. Onward.